On April 2, 2025, the United States announced new import tariffs, sending shockwaves through the global economy. These tariffs, essentially taxes on goods brought into the country, are aimed at reducing the trade deficit and boosting domestic production. The Trump administration argues that these measures are necessary to protect American jobs and address unfair trade practices by other nations. The tariffs are multi-tiered. A baseline tariff of 10% will be applied to all imports. This will impact a wide range of goods from clothing and electronics to machinery and raw materials. In addition to this baseline, the U.S. has imposed reciprocal tariffs on approximately 90 countries. These reciprocal tariffs are targeted at nations deemed to have unfavorable trade policies with the U.S. The rates vary depending on the country and the specific goods being imported, adding another layer of complexity to the situation. These tariffs are not without precedent. During his first term, President Trump imposed tariffs on goods from China and other countries. These actions ignited trade tensions and led to retaliatory measures from those targeted nations. One of the most immediate and tangible impacts of these new tariffs will be felt in the wallets of everyday Americans. The tariffs are expected to lead to higher prices for a wide range of imported goods. Consumers will likely see increases on everyday items such as clothing, footwear, and electronics. These goods are often manufactured in countries now subject to the new tariffs. The automotive industry is also feeling the heat. A 25% tariff on all foreign-made vehicles will make buying a new car significantly more expensive for American consumers. While proponents of the tariffs argue that they will protect American jobs and industries, the reality is that these costs are often passed down to consumers in the form of higher prices. This can lead to a decrease in consumer spending and potentially slow down economic growth. The imposition of these new tariffs has injected a significant degree of uncertainty into the global economy. Businesses are grappling with the potential impact of higher costs and disrupted supply chains. This uncertainty can have a chilling effect on investment and hiring as businesses adopt a wait-and-see approach. Inflation is another concern. The tariffs, by increasing the cost of imported goods, could contribute to a rise in the general price level. This could lead to a situation where wages fail to keep pace with rising costs, eroding purchasing power and potentially leading to a decline in living standards for many Americans. The administration argues that these tariffs are necessary to protect American jobs. However, some industries that rely heavily on imported materials or components could face job losses. Manufacturers, for example, may see their production costs rise due to tariffs on imported raw materials or parts. This could make them less competitive and potentially lead to layoffs. The agricultural sector, which relies heavily on export markets, is also vulnerable. Retaliatory tariffs imposed by other countries could harm American farmers and agricultural businesses. The tariffs present a complex economic equation with potential winners and losers. While some industries might benefit from increased domestic production, others could face significant challenges. Section 5. Market jitters. Stocks react to trade tensions. The stock market, a barometer of investor confidence, has reacted negatively to the announcement of these new tariffs. The Dow Jones Industrial Average and the S&P 500 both experienced significant declines in the days following the announcement. Investors are concerned about the potential for a trade war, which could disrupt global supply chains and harm corporate profits. Uncertainty surrounding the tariffs and their potential impact on the economy has led to increased volatility in the stock market. This volatility can erode investor confidence and make it more difficult for businesses to raise capital for investment and expansion. Section 6. A global response, retaliation, and its consequences. The imposition of these new tariffs has not gone unnoticed by the international community. Several countries, including China and members of the European Union, have announced retaliatory tariffs on U.S. goods. China, a major trading partner of the U.S., has imposed tariffs on a range of American products including soybeans, automobiles, and aircraft. These tariffs could harm American businesses and lead to job losses. The EU is also considering retaliatory measures, raising concerns about a potential escalation of trade tensions. These retaliatory actions highlight the interconnected nature of the global economy and the potential for tariffs to trigger a tit-for-tat trade war, harming businesses and consumers on all sides. Section 7. Echoes of the past. A familiar trade tune. These new tariffs are reminiscent of President Trump's previous trade policies. During his first term, his administration imposed tariffs on billions of dollars worth of goods from China, Canada, Mexico, and the European Union. These actions sparked retaliatory tariffs and ignited trade tensions that simmered for years. While proponents of these policies argued that they were necessary to protect American jobs and reduce the trade deficit, critics argued that they harmed American businesses and consumers. The current round of tariffs raises similar concerns and has the potential to reignite trade conflicts that could damage the global economy. The historical context suggests that tariffs can be a blunt instrument that often leads to unintended consequences and economic hardship. Section 8. The potential upside. Are there any silver linings? While the potential downsides of these new tariffs are significant, proponents argue that they could lead to some positive outcomes. The tariffs, they argue, could encourage businesses to bring manufacturing back to the U.S., leading to job creation and economic growth. By making imported goods more expensive, the tariffs could make domestically produced goods more competitive, potentially boosting domestic industries. The tariffs could also generate revenue for the government, which could be used to fund infrastructure projects or reduce the deficit. However, it remains to be seen whether these potential benefits will outweigh the potential costs of the tariffs and whether they will be enough to offset the risks of retaliation and economic disruption. Section 9. The road ahead, navigating the tariff landscape. The imposition of these new tariffs marks a significant escalation in global trade tensions. The road ahead is uncertain, and the potential consequences for the U.S. and global economies are significant. The tariffs have the potential to disrupt global supply chains, raise prices for consumers, and slow economic growth. Retaliatory actions by other countries could further escalate trade tensions and lead to a full-blown trade war, with potentially devastating consequences for the global economy. Navigating this complex landscape will require careful diplomacy and a willingness to engage in dialogue and compromise. The stakes are high, and the outcome of this trade dispute will have far-reaching implications for businesses and consumers alike.